What?
Why don't you give me a swift kick in the balls?
It's time to break down another Better Call Saul episode in order. Who's ready for a taste of early Breaking Bad? I've got 43 details you might not know in Season 5, Episode 3.
The guy for this.
That ice cream cone is familiar from the end of the previous episode, although the placement relative to the sidewalk joint doesn't match. This is a set. They recreated a portion of the sidewalk on a table with a rim to keep the ants contained.
What is this?
A set for ants!
This scene uses all real ants, although some visual effects were used to combine shots. The background is just a painting of downtown Albuquerque because they knew it would be so blurry that it would be fine. They flew in an ant wrangler from LA who brought in about 2,000 red harvester ants from his neighborhood. When finished, he vacuumed them up so he could return them. And that's actually not ice cream. The wrangler said it would have been too cold for the ants to crawl on so quickly. They shot 8 to 9 hours of ant footage for this at 120 frames per second. Sometimes they show them in slow motion and sometimes they speed them up. There are lots of ways to interpret this metaphor. The script and the director view the first ant as Jimmy, who both find success in this episode, but then they're quickly overrun by filth and carnage. The music supervisor also sees the ants putting themselves in jeopardy because of the unhealthy temptation, so the ice cream is like the cartel. In fact, one of the songs he proposed for this montage was Bing Crosby's Temptation. They also thought about using tense music, but opted to go with optimistic mountain climbing music from the perspective of the ants. If you take your eyes off the ants, you see several cars from the future driving by, such as this Nissan, Chrysler, and Toyota. Blingy's tuner is set to the future, as this song is from 1 year in the future. We get a much better look at his ear compared to last time, and it still looks painful. I know that song. It's like he has a whole rehearsed routine when he wants to dramatically introduce himself. This Salamanca garage is the same garage where the vet saved Nacho.
Can I talk?
Great question, because that's the first spoken dialogue in this episode, and we're already 4.5 minutes into it. Unless you want to count Jimmy's earlier.
I have a feeling I know what this is about.
You ratted on me. There will be consequences.
You did walk out a free man.
You had business with my cousin, Tuco.
Tuco. I see the family resemblance. Your cousin makes quite an impression. He has a huge heart and a serious passion for justice.
Justice. He's got a temper, huh?
I hadn't noticed.
You know, Tuco told me about you.
I wonder if it was hard to find him now that he's no longer Jimmy McGill. Were they just assuming they'd find him by stalking around the courthouse?
Those guys at the house. What they call her?
Biznatch.
Biznatch, yeah. You know, the Tuco I know, he would have skinned them alive and let the buzzards eat their eyeballs.
Tuco, we can't do them like that, man. Buzzards and rats and all that.
It sounds like arguing.
You go blah, 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 and they walk out of there. I mean, it's amazing.
They wheeled out, actually.
Ignacio and I, we got a legal problem.
A legal problem. Fantastic. So, I thought I was going to be swallowing condoms filled with heroin.
Maybe later.
We have a guy sitting in MDC.
We want him to say exactly what we tell him. We send you in there.
Attorney-client confidentiality.
Yeah, that.
Can I offer this? Talk directly to your guy. Cut out the middleman.
You're the guy for this.
Jimmy became Saul to solve his problems, but it doesn't take long for things to go sideways. If only he remained a phone salesman.
I'm a civilian. I'm nobody's lawyer. I have to warn you that my rates have gone up. So going this way could be expensive.
Like, how expensive?
Oh, gee, well, it's a full day of my time and prep work, $925. Yeah.
Sure.
He should have gone higher.
For your trouble, let's make it 8.
Although Lalo could have forced him to do this for free, so I guess this is a win. Mike is back at Louis' Pub and Grill.
Another?
I don't know, Mike. How about you call it a night?
Cowboy.
Put him in the register and pour me another.
They once again hid most of the labels.
Hey,
Yeah.
right there, the third from the bottom. Take it down.
You see over that?
The Sydney Opera House.
To that, my father
Gave 10 years of life.
You know, Mike, customers send these in.
The father and grandfather of the guy who built this castle were involved in the signing of the
Magna Carta.
The real address of the bar is 5603 Minal, although they put 5306 on the postcard.
Jimmy!
Take it down.
The director said this shot is showing the empty seat Werner previously occupied to show he's there in spirit, and the wide shots are intentionally echoing the ones from that night.
Take it down.
I think you've had enough.
Not only is he not done, but his glass just gained liquid.
Take it down now. Please.
Gramps, where you going?
Yo, got 20 bucks you can lend me?
I got a lot more than 20 bucks, asshole.
Hey, yo, Gramps can throw it out, okay? You gonna let old people out there talk to you like that?
Gramps can throw down. We've seen it before.
So?
Stepping on him was not scripted, although I assume he worked it out with a stunt coordinator in advance.
Hey,
You done?
just about. Thanks.
It's a German beer named Bock, perhaps a nod to Rainer Bock, who played Werner. The director viewed this scene as a love triangle between Jimmy, Kim, and Saul, and he thinks the beer bottle on the edge represents the danger in the love triangle, like it's representing Saul.
I am the danger.
She's uncomfortable with its placement, just like she's uncomfortable with his approach to the law.
Everything good?
I'm sort of celebrating, actually. I have all pro bono clients tomorrow. No Mesa Verde.
That's great, and it's why she joined Schweikert and Coakley.
Well, all right.
What about you?
Ups and downs. Financially speaking, Saul Goodman just had his best day yet.
The writer said Kim's still not happy with Jimmy, and the only real indication of it is this line.
Good for Saul. I better prep for tomorrow.
Right. Go get him, Tiger.
That's not how you solve it.
This is what we do.
You junkie girlfriend.
This match between Belarus and Mexico happened a decade after this takes place. Those sneaky Pete's. They made that commercial to be used in El Camino, although the scene was deleted. But the fictional medicine is now canon, and we will see it again in the future.
What are you doing?
I have to take it apart to clean it.
Duh. This is indeed a magically clear surface because this basket is sitting on the floor.
Check this out.
Puzzle's print wasn't established until 2008. Hector, you're not even in this scene.
Yeah.
I want to see Ignacio.
Who is this?
His father.
¿Puedo pasar?
Hi.
Along with hiding Joe, they were furiously cleaning because Amber's stuff was spilling onto the floor before. She also covered up a little bit.
Nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, me too.
Don't you hate it when you do that?
Excuse me.
¿Está grande? Gutiérrez me hizo una oferta para comprar el taller. Me ofreció mucho más de lo que vale, incluso con el terreno.
¿Qué vas a hacer?
Siempre pensé que el taller sería tuyo.
Finalmente te podrías jubilar.
The director intentionally started with more formal wide shots and medium shots, but switched to close-ups once we get to the heart of the conversation.
Fuiste tú, ¿verdad? El dinero que me está ofreciendo es tuyo.
No.
Es tu manera de hacerme huir. Tú quieres huir y quieres que yo huya también. Ya te dije lo que tienes que hacer. Entrégate a la policía. Enfrenta lo que has hecho.
He knows that going to the police would likely end badly, whether it's a long prison sentence for Nacho or both of them getting killed by the Salamancas. But his philosophy is,
let justice be done, though the heavens fall.
Ni madres. Yo no voy a huir.
Manuel, exit.
Nice to meet you, young lady.
This document is indeed relevant to this case. There's the stenographer we've seen before, and there's Dave from Uno. He was the first, but we've now counted 6 of them.
The famous Steph.
Steph's phone is an Alcatel Android phone from over a decade in the future.
Steph, this is not the time, all right?
Okay. I reviewed your motion to dismiss and the state's one-page response.
Typical Dave, a man of few words.
Your argument is well-reasoned. However, I'm denying the motion.
Your Honor.
Jury selection begins June 16th.
I'm sorry, this didn't go our way. Going in, we all knew getting the case dismissed would be a long shot.
Oh no, Kevin, you just missed him.
Now the prosecution will come back to us with a
Cowboy.
And let's not ignore the cowgirl with him.
I'm sorry, I'll be right back.
It's Rich. This is the second time he's called.
I thought you'd be on your way to Tucumcari by now. I just got off with Kevin Wartell. He wants you there right now to straighten this out, hands-on. He's called twice in 40 minutes.
I'm Kevin Wartell, and we need Cowboy.
Tucumcari's under control.
Help me understand. It's not like you're in the middle of a murder trial.
Rich, this
This is just Kevin being Kevin.
I respect your devotion to your pro bono clients, but Mesa Verde keeps the lights on.
Kim has the opposite problem that Jimmy had in season 2.
Sandpiper's not what keeps the lights on around here.
Kim's getting in too deep on one end of the spectrum while Jimmy's getting in too deep on the other.
Once in a while, you have to give a little to get a little.
And Kim, like Jimmy, does not like being told what to do.
Get yourself down there, stat.
Rich is the most reasonable angry boss I've ever seen.
All right.
Who the hell are you?
I'm your new lawyer.
I didn't call no lawyer.
Lalo did.
These pages have the arguments for other clients that Jimmy rehearsed in the elevator.
Moral fortitude, passion, progress. A solid citizen with a voice that needs to ring out.
I didn't say anything to no one.
Don't worry, kid. I've nothing but good news for you. How are you at memorization?
That is a lot to memorize.
Goddamn right.
We'll see how he does. This means that Lalo's taking advantage of this opportunity to set up Gus. He found a way to act on Hector's idea. There's Fiona Com again, named after Peter Gould's daughter. We've seen it twice before, and it lives on in Pluribus. I guess Snowfall and Rain is worth a headline since we almost never see it in the Breaking Bad universe. Here's a clue that DEA agents are in the car. Although, because it's a federal agency, the government plate should be a federal one rather than specific to New Mexico. Here's a nod to the DEA intercepting meth, aka ice.
Excuse me. Hey, Marina. How's the boy?
He's good, Hank.
Third base?
Catcher. Hey, Steve.
To help keep the surprise, Hank and Gomi were given codenames in the script. Hank was Duke and Gomi was Yancey.
Does Blanca throw stuff out on the exact day it expires?
Remember Blanca?
I spoke with Blanca.
I counted Papadumi and Cynthia and Dog Paulson mentions, so this counts. These are debatable, but I'm going to count this as the back wall of the lockers being magically clear.
Marie hands me a full hefty bag and pushes me out to the trash cans.
Once I found an old can of vanilla frosting. I ate that. I'm still here.
You what?
We were talking about expired food. I thought it was relevant.
Let's get this circle jerk over with.
There is a small issue with Gomi having a goatee because Hank acts like he's never seen it before when he shows up with it in Breaking Bad Season 4.
Ooh, those whiskers, Marie. What'd you do? Show your barber a picture of a dog's ass and said, I'll take that?
Peter was nervous about getting the Hank dialogue right without Vince's involvement since he won't be back in the writer's room until next season, but he did send this part of the script to Vince so he could critique it. The acting or dialogue feels a little forced to me, but it is great to see them and it really makes it feel like we've reconnected to Breaking Bad. The paperwork confirms we're still in April, although it's funny they didn't commit to putting any exact dates on the page. And the arresting officer is D someone, but it probably should have been Jay Fletcher. The second sheet is completely unrelated and filled with dates from 2013 and 2014.
Domingo Molina. Possession of a half ounce of street-grade gas.
That's dealing weight.
Keeps his mouth shut for the first 2 nights he's in here and now has an epiphany and wants to talk.
When writing this episode, they weren't sure if Dean would do it, so their fallback plan was to just have the police question him.
Wow me. Make my tiny eyes grow wide with delight.
What if I know where there's $500,000 in drug money?
Things could go well for you.
I think this can end very well for you. Good things can happen. Give me the deets.
The dealers kick up the cash, right? But they don't go face to face with the big guys, so they leave it in different spots.
Dead drops?
Yeah.
Sounds like a big operation.
Are you talking to my client without his lawyer present?
This is a lot like his introduction in Breaking Bad.
What are you doing talking to my client without me present?
Although this time it's an act.
And you are?
Saul Goodman.
Because they've met here, Saul recognized them in their first Breaking Bad encounter.
DEA, huh? For a street bust.
It's all good, man.
Listen, officer.
Special agent.
My name is Asac Schrader.
Your client waived his right to an attorney.
Well, he most certainly did not.
I want to talk.
No, you don't.
Sounds like he does.
Hank's watch, which was normally dead in Breaking Bad, shows 4:54 here, even though earlier it showed 5-something.
One moment. Come here.
They shot the opening ant scene at the same time as this scene in side-by-side sets, and the director was simultaneously checking on both in the cluster of monitors.
You're killing me here, man.
And scene.
He insists on dealing, so let's talk turkey.
We're not interested. I feel like my chain is being jerked, and not in a good way, if you know what I'm saying.
Is this a good way?
With me like it.
There's no half mil.
Bullshit. I called it good.
One
Hey,
second.
have a good day.
What if we say it's contingent?
On what?
Results. If his information leads to something.
Arrests.
What?
If his information leads to arrests.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Domingo. Start talking.
All I know is that there are these 3 dead drops they run on Thursday nights.
Hold on.
What?
Word gets out that he's a fink, he ends up bleeding out in front of his mother's house.
What?
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. My client is not leaving here with a target on his back.
Fine.
He didn't have to do that for Crazy 8, but it's nice that he still cares.
Take care of him.
He's not just anyone's CI. He's your personal CI.
Okay.
So he's going to be a snitch for the DEA, which leads to the bust of Emilio and a pretty important reunion.
There are these 3 dead drops. First one's under a bridge up by Chavez Road, over Hillsdale Street. Second one's in an empty rail yard, off Waldron, in a train shed.
Well done. This won't be the last time people memorize a story to full hang.
Script.
Bullet points.
Bullet points.
It's a new callable number. Here's what you get when you call it.
I'm Kevin Wattell, CEO of Mesa Verde. At Mesa Verde, we're in the business of making dreams come true. Sound like something you'd be good at? Our To Tucumcari call center is opening first quarter of next year, and we need folks like you to build this thing from the ground up. Keep an eye on this space for employment opportunity. Until then, happy banking and happy trails. Cowboy.
Oh, thank God. Word of warning? He's very unpleasant.
They went down to Berlin to film this. It really is isolated, but they still digitally enhanced the surroundings.
Mr. Acker, hello.
This is the legendary Barry Corbin, who has been in so many things, but I'll just mention 2 of them. Command & Conquer Red Alert 2.
Commander!
And Stir Crazy with Jonathan Banks.
Stay right where you at.
Are you done?
You and your family have been here since 1974. You built this lovely house, but you never actually owned the land it was on. Your lease stipulates that the property owner can buy you out at any time for fair market value plus $5,000.
$5,000 is such a common payoff in this universe.
$4,000?
$5,000? I took a buyout for $5,000.
So as a gesture of goodwill, Mesa Verde has just increased your buyout to $18,000.
Mesa Verde is doing what Nacho did and offering extra to get someone to move. Both Manuel and Mr. Acker have similar reactions.
Nobody wants to leave home.
$18,000?
That's right.
Nobody's ever explained it to me like that before. I bet you with that I could buy a big old mansion and a swimming pool.
The wording here is muddying the waters. And has caused lots of debates. Kim and Mr. Acker make it sound like the total buyout is $18,000.
Mesa Verde has just increased your buyout to $18,000.
But Kim previously said it was
fair market value plus $5,000.
So I believe she means fair market value plus $18,000, especially because that roughly covers inflation. Although unlike Lalo, they didn't round up.
For your trouble.
Who's the real villain? Now what would they mean by fair market value since he doesn't own the land, just a 30-year-old manufactured home? The real-life home, which has double the bathrooms as Walt's house, would have been worth about $14,000, so fair market value plus $5,000 would already be $19,000. More on this later.
We know
Hey,
it's
do
not
me a favor,
enough to-
will you? I'm going to spread my legs out like this, and just to finish it off, why don't you give me a swift kick in the balls?
This scene was very difficult to film due to sandstorms that halted production for hours. They lost the light before they could do most of the shots of Ray, so they had to go back and shoot these angles while they filmed the next episode. These shots have a haze to them, I think to try to make the sky match.
Adverse possession means this is my land.
You made that argument in court, and the judge ruled against you.
Don't think for 1 second you have squatters' rights because you don't.
They've established that Mesa Verde has the right to do this and stick to the $5,000 extra. But what's legal and what's moral are 2 different things, and we'll see how much this affects Kim later.
Nobody could change my mind, so they sent you out. You're the big gun with a ponytail. N-O. No!
I can see you've made up your mind.
And I can see you. You're one of those people that give a little money to charity every month so you can make up for all the bad that you've done.
Make lots of money. Give some to charity.
Makes you feel like one of the best rich people. I don't know how in the world you sleep at night.
Listen to me. You do not get to make up your own rules. Put on your big boy pants and face reality. He's gonna have to put on his big boy pants.
My big boy pants.
The $18,000, guess what? It's off the table. Tomorrow, you come to your senses, you'll get 10. And you know what happens after that? You get nothing.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
All of your neighbors, every single one of them, played by the rules. It's the law.
The law is sacred.
Deal with it.
That was amazing. Great job.
I didn't solve anything.
The sky here is much different from the rest of the scene. I'm sure he loves seeing young professionals joking around at a time like this. I don't know if this is intentional, but this could be the old raceway where Werner was killed.
Where are you now? Out by an old raceway off 55.
This is, surprise, surprise, pretty close to the studio. Here's some footage shot by friend of the channel, Ethan Geiger. Megan Gomez, who was on the cruise, said they filmed through this hole that's still there. Tony really wanted to drive, but that's a stunt driver for insurance reasons.
Insurance?
And here you can tell.
Woohoo! Damn, man, look at that, look!
I replaced the carburetor. She's running like a racehorse, man.
It's a fine vehicle.
What do you drive?
A Suzuki Esteem. It's an import.
Huh. So?
So it went just like you wanted. Feds are gonna be on him.
The feds?
Yeah. DEA.
Excuse me, the DEA?
They're gunning for arrests.
Arrests.
Your guy is now a confidential informant.
What do you mean, like a rat?
No, he's not a rat. You now have a hotline to the DEA. You might hear that Domingo is a snitch. You gotta know, he's not.
And what do you care?
All due respect, you're paying me, but he's my client. I'd like to keep him alive.
And he will, only for Crazy 8 to be killed by his biggest future client.
Stay away. When I there.
One more thing. You're gonna have to find a different attorney for future endeavors, because my schedule is just very, very tight.
Tight.
You'll make time.
Ah. Who exactly did I just set up?
Gustavo Street.
You don't want to know.
Because he can't know him.
I know a guy who knows a guy who knows another guy.
If there's gonna be blowback, I don't want to be in the middle of it.
When you're in, you're in.
He speaks from experience. He's now seeing some of the chaos and filth stemming from his actions that reflect what's going on in the larger world. And in both cases, he does nothing to fix it.
Got a continuance on Rousseau.
His hearing's scheduled for Thursday morning, right?
This is giving me an uneasy feeling. Oops, we can tell her speedometer is at 0, as in real life the car is being towed.
Good job, Steph.
Thanks, Kim. Get home safe.
That's not making me feel any better. Are they toying with our emotions? Here we get a better look at the 0 speed. Finally, a 5 knock.
Mr. Acker?
But how is he supposed to hear her?
Breaking and entering. Mr. Acker?
They did manage to film this the same evening as the earlier scene, so this was filmed before many of the shots we saw earlier.
Mr. Acker?
You can barely hear it, but Mr. Acker's watching a fake war documentary on TV written by Peter Gould's assistant.
Can we start over? I went to a real estate office. I found some houses I think you might like. This one's on half an acre. This one has 3 bedrooms. This one has a really good view, and the neighborhood's pretty. There's some really nice options in your price range.
So what does she mean by his price range? Unless she knows about money he saved, this makes me think fair market value in the contract means the value of an equivalent house and land. This might feel generous, but they are breaking the lease 70 years early, and it's a way to ensure he won't be homeless.
I know moving's a big deal. I'd like to help you out with that myself, if that's all right with you. I can take off any day this week. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. I can't pretend to understand what you're going through. I've never owned a house. My family never owned one either. My mother used to shake me awake in the middle of the night yelling it was time to go. She was always one step ahead of the landlord. I'd throw my things in a cardboard box and run outside in my pajamas. Sometimes it was so cold, my toes turned blue.
This is new information and could help explain why she enjoys fighting for the little people so much, and why she almost always wears the same earrings along with her modest wardrobe. She knows what it's like to struggle financially and is careful with her money.
If we'd had a house, I never would have wanted to leave.
You'll say anything to get what you want, won't you?
She never opens up like this, and to be shot down like this is devastating. They cut the first half of the scene, which explains more about Gus's state of mind, but it wasn't necessary.
When was this?
Today.
Do you have the agents' names?
The lawyers got them.
Put it away.
You want to leave the money for the feds?
If there's no money in those dead drops, Lala will know someone talked.
The dead drops remain.
Gus exits. Similar to the start of the episode, the end of the episode now has over 2.5 minutes of no talking. This is intentional symmetry with the other night, but I'm curious why Jimmy didn't park in one of these spots, or why Kim didn't the other night. Kim was so looking forward to today.
No Mesa Verde.
But instead, she gets an unfavorable ruling, then is yanked out of these plans by Mesa Verde so she can evict an old man from his home in service of a call center. They both had very bad days and they don't want to talk about it. He and Kim have a similar problem. Their jobs are being funded by someone forcing them to be the guy/gal for unpleasant things. Bob was very critical of his smoking performance here, but in his defense, Jimmy isn't a regular smoker either.
I am the danger.
Congratulations and thanks to the new 2-year members. Zweron's Crits Only, Raminios, Nico Saavedra, Junker, Jenswa, Gorilla Man 219, Fluffy the Little Wolf, Atticus Nari, Equo, City of Ruin, Gennaro Cascaller, Miki, Zodiac Killers, Blazon Duo, Oblong Doucheboy, Andy Drew 003, Aaron Breeze Composer, Tempo, Katawi Pero, Biggest Egg Moments, and Garo Barksdale. And here are the new 1-year members. Adpods Faber, Tercy, Joe M, Fabian Kronsteiner, Rookweir Asher, Travis White, Moji IRL, Matt Kismet, Henry Lavion, Daniel Ferenc, Steve Hines, Koalas, Potato Buddy, Kurz12, Gremlin Stuff, Jacob Tucker, Lucas Gerlach, Kyle Brown, JD Maddo 2, Gumbafan 3000, Honhold Motorsport, Catboy Gustavo Fring, Nicholas Alvaro, Sweatily, YNG Monkey, Zach Brunn, The Tom 5000, Nephos, Magnum Telatum Key, Ooh, Wankers, Alex C, Leo Strauss, Goonie Nightman, Not Tabe, Tesney69, Venom Isaac, Sir Bacon, Bimmer, Rodracula, Andrew Wynn, Smiggy, Triforce Welder, Mikey, Kason, Wiblix, Ola Coolies, The Panzafara, Doc, Trailminer, Aiden Verbeck, Komoski, Matt Carlucci, Mezguy, Schwack, Clayton Burridge, Kieran Lochar, Jace's Man 29, Jess Dector, Auto Jukebox, Twitchy, Fembot Logic, Gimme Desemi, Inkstream, Quixotic Charles, Little Shadows, Malmite, Yogsther, Misho Dodo, Martonio Magic, Frog Puppet, Dylan, Jacob, Jace Lang, Thick Ditto, Carchal the Legend, Pothel, Proverbial Tinkerer, Francisco, Franco Finazzi, Lori Oho, Behind Glass, Adia Barmore Gench, Twim, Crystali, Kingsley Scanlon, Avu, Joshy Piss, and Dr. Pepper PhD. And here are the new 6-month members. Fruity Loops, Hero Jasper, Injure Heat, Ario Wikasono, Hayden Gonsalves, The Armed Idiot, Polyoid, Grumpleginch, Magic Max, Riley S, Colorful Reference, Avery Schneid, Son of a Pirate, VP37, Mert, Yasri Abdelmagid, Gethin Evans, Adam Kellett, Prod Rafia, Jared Exodia, Tanapon Tyanosorn, General Mathis, Syrafi, Tenenbaum, Not Important, Tachnoid, Hyperknot, Madison, Bowdown, Droptimal, Shame Census, Frungi, Southfa, Timsnersmerk, Mara Wyvern, King President, Levi Welcomes Our Hamster Overlords, Thudner, Emery Hooten, Bios F2, Toastix, Milo Davis, Melody 10001, Nutball 375, E, Call Me Canine, Who Ate My Donut 1, Kenneth Harvey, Aiden, Trey Sangine, Trash Heapian, Frank Matuzik, David Gomez Secondino, Mossifer, Carlos IP, Mr. 60s, Isaac Gao, Joseph Brown, Tony D, Pigeon, Heisenberg, Janie Bean, Gix Bemsney, Monsieur William, Pavlin Pavlov, William Gordon, Alan Barza, Griggle the Simpson, Am Reiche, Justin Blake, King Dedademjan, Danilo Dallastella, Sahara, Official Lament, Apricots, Andrew Voth, Arthur Silva, Azure 3301, Christoph Crisley Rattle, Milo, Six Zephyr, Joseph White, Ober Kukin, History Army Productions, RT Carab, Worcester, Parker Haynes, Sundara Noth, Elliot Bryant, Daryl Fatstacks, Ramses Badia, Gragma, Luke Bortignon, Tucker Dennis, Theater Heathen 20, Potate 64, Beetle Beetleman, Marcin Walicki, Nightshade Alloy, Other Colby, Oscar, Zero Ho, BioGecko, BWT Truman, Owen Wu, and Albert Garcia. Next time, Saul pulls a real-life stunt, we talk about culverts, and poor Lyle tries to make the friar acceptable.
Look, Mom, no him. It'd be funny if, like, throughout the whole thing, Blingy's just starting to think he's got telekinetic powers, you know? It's like this. Go like that. You just catch him doing some strange stuff.
It's Kim Worker, blah, 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 blah.
Now, let me show you what I'm doing real quick, Paul. I'm playing the map box for the card. Well, but the boss, Mike, said he liked it.
Nope. Indicate. Shit.
Please consider subscribing.
Make my tiny eyes grow wide with delight.